Okay, let's wait for a few of them to come in first. Let me just see. How's everyone doing during the MCO? Surviving?
Because they are still not recover from the the extension. They are still pretty upset with the extension announced.
Right. Wait, I think I need to send a link to everyone so that we will get to see your comments from our dashboard. Just need you to click on that to allow access, be live access to your comments so that we are able to see your comments from our dashboard. Okay, let's wait for a while. Hi Ashraf, hi Sui. Okay. Good morning, Leonard. Hi Stuart.
Not bad. Sunday morning, everybody will be sleeping until like
yeah.
Taking 11 slot could be quite a big risk. And happy Easter holiday to some of you who are celebrating. Yeah, I know some of you are doing some virtual prayer right now.
Okay, we wait a while more, then we start. Okay, please allow live access so that we can see your FB comments. Okay, can everyone hear me? Sound check okay?
Sound good?
All right, good morning. Good morning, Stuart. Hi, Leonard. Hi, Jasmine. Hello. Hi, Kelvin. Baby crying. Oh my goodness. Yes, my baby is crying. The woo of work from home mom. Wow, that loud, man. Let me just.
I think everybody knew that. I was thinking it wasn't you, but yeah, apparently it was you.
Yes, it's me because it's just you and me.
Okay, yeah. I was confused. I thought every time when we go into this virtual meeting, there are so many other who forgot to mute their mic. I thought it might be somebody else.
Okay.
Wow, we have quite many good friends here today with us this morning.
Yes.
Just bear with my hairstyle because even though they're allowed to go to barbershop, I will stay away from that. Yeah.
Okay, so shall we start? Hi, Nikki. Hi, Satya. Hi, Marcus.
Oh, hi, bro.
Yes, work from home is the way to go. Yes, correct.
I think slowly we are so used to it and probably find a bit difficult to go back to office even when they allow us to go back in the 2 weeks time.
Oddly, actually, I'm very used to work from home already lah. Since 10 years back till now, I've been working from home. Okay, so
a bit of discipline, I would say, right? When you're forced to do it, you have no choice. Then you will find ways. If not, you probably will just say, "Oh, this is not the right place," and you just find a reason to go to the nearby Starbucks and all these places to hang out and work from there. That's what I used to do when I first started to work from home. I couldn't stay at home because it's so comfortable. I'll just go down and make some coffee and I watch the TV for 5 minutes and then never mind, I'm tired, I sleep for 10 minutes. You know, a lot of stupid excuses. End up the whole day, I didn't do anything productive at all.
Yeah. So, so now the MCO has already been extended to 28th of April, which is 2 more weeks. What do you all think? Because in many countries like China especially, they were the first one. Their lockdown took about 3 months. So they are still partially lifting up the MCO. I think in Malaysia, we could actually go beyond April. I think May could also be possible. What do you think? What do you guys think? Do you think it will go way way beyond April?
Of course, from the business standpoint, I think most of them will hope that they can back to business immediately. But I guess from the nation security and also the health of the rest of the public, I guess we have really, for the last 2 weeks, it is really a very important moment for us to hold on. And if we can't, I mean, we have already stayed for almost a month, more than a month. Okay, why can't we just stay on for another 2 more weeks if that is going to be a better solution for all of us? I mean, we just have to stay on for 2 more weeks lah. It wouldn't really kill us. Yes, it's a bit painful now lah, but I would strongly suggest that we. I saw some organizations have actually wrote to government and urged them not to open up the office hour for some of the industry that they have proposed 2 days ago. I guess that's the right decision. They shouldn't take this easy, even though we don't see the sign of scaling up in terms of the numbers of patients, but that doesn't mean it is okay. Like you say, China took 3 months. We are just about a month, and what makes us feel that it is safe now? So there's still a lot of time bomb everywhere. I guess we just have to stay on for a while.
Yep, Sui say, I think for sure, even after MCO lifted, scared to even leave house like normal. Yeah, we also see that it's going to be a lot more social distancing, even if the MCO is lifted. So many people think that it's going to be way beyond April. It's good that we have a plan for this, just so that we will know that it's going to go way beyond April, which Insider News is saying that, yeah, it's going to go way beyond April. Okay. Jasmine says, like Singapore, they open up and close again. Yeah. Kelvin says, fasten business transformation. Yeah. And also, Kiam Fee says, if Raya Bazaar starts, then it may continue to June. Yes, definitely. Actually, I cannot imagine if the Raya Bazaar goes on and everyone gather again. I think the curve is going to go all the way up again.
I think what you say is pretty correct. That's what I worry the most, because it involves a bit of a sentiment, because now it is about politically and religious issues. So they might want to do it just because of some reason, but everybody knows that it's not a good idea. Even though you open up for drive-through, it's also quite dangerous, because you just encourage people to go out. Yeah, that is something that the government seriously have to consider.
So Max also says, in Korea, although it has been 0 case for some time, recently just had another 91 patients that has been recovered, positive again. Yeah, that's really very scary. So what are your views? I think Gan actually did a lot of research into the new norm, which is why I told him we should collaborate and also come up with something that we can help the business owners to stay relevant and resilient. And Gan, perhaps you would like to share with us your views on the new norm.
I think I spent quite some time ever since before the MCO. I already kind of I don't say I predicted it, but I see that is something that we cannot avoid. We have seen what happened to China, and the impact already quite severely obvious to all of us, that the impact is affecting the business. So I took some time to look into what has changed the Chinese business. In fact, Chinese are pretty amazing, because they react really, really fast. Set aside all the political reasons, I think what they have done so far actually set a sign of what will happen to us in Malaysia here, even after the MCO. So I took some time to really look into what happened to this new normal that everybody are curious about. So the term new normal actually is something not new to us. I'm sure you heard about this movie called Everybody's Business. Back in many years in Singapore, there's this movie talk about Ministry of Toilet. If you remember, that was a story talking about the hygiene issue. Everybody was not cautious about it, and end up they dump all the waste into the drain, and it explode, and there is a outbreak of bacteria, and eventually the whole nation is in trouble. So the ministry that handled it was quite fun. They called it Ministry of Toilet. They basically handle all the toilets matter. So that was actually a sign of new norm if you read that movie carefully. Because what happened after that incident, a new sets of practice, a new habit has been developed. People get more careful. People are more hygiene, and they respect all the gloves, the mask, and everything that they need to do, especially if they're in the F&B industry or even when they are at home. So I guess that is what I meant by new norm. A new norm basically talks about something that is so impactful that has happened and forces you to change the way you work and the way you live. So that is something that is happening now. But we probably can't see that obvious at this moment until maybe another 2-3 more weeks. When you go back to business, you start to realize you're no longer dealing with the customer the same way. You're no longer attracting the same customer because of the old ways that you're doing. So I want to bring these new norms into business. So for those who are sensitive enough, probably you look at this as something that will trigger you in finding a better ways to deal with your customer after the MCO. Even now, it is already affecting us. So some of these patterns are actually embedded in already. It's a matter of whether are you taking this seriously into your business, or it's just something that you think is changing your personal habits. But something very interesting, because I read an article yesterday from one of my organizations, then they sent over from US. They talk about there is a 10 new world order has been formed. Meaning before we talk about the new norm, the world order actually is the one that orchestra the new form, the new normals in the next many years. So perhaps I want to share these new orders in today's live. So it gives you a bit of idea of how these international changes are affecting us in our business and also daily habits. First thing first, they mentioned about the economic recovery. Asian is going to be recover faster than the West because of the way we treated this pandemic. We treat this as something very serious. You've seen that we lock down even when we see a sign of a spread. But in the West, it took so long, even until today, they are not even getting better. So that is on the healthcare side. But in economic, it will also reflect the same. You see the Asian already start recover, but the West are still struggling. So I guess if you are doing business that a lot dealing with the West, perhaps you may have to be a bit more careful, especially those who are importing from the West. I know some friends who are importing equipment, engineering parts from Europe. So perhaps your business are going to be badly affected even for the next 6 months. So there's something that you have to consider. Do you want to stick on to the same plan, or you want to start sourcing from the East? That is something that is affecting our business. Second is the whole world is moving more to automation, meaning we are no longer relying a lot on human, even though political reason force us to take care of the people. But you notice that there are signs of moving more to automation. Previously, automation are more for the big corporation. They talk about Industry 4.0, the animation, like our friend Live been talking about the smart factory. But again, if you look at what happened in the trend now, even small companies are seriously looking into this. Maybe they are not doing full automation, but as much as they can, they will bring in automation into part of their operation. So there is a sign of slowly redundant. I wouldn't say redundant. Humans are going to do more other works rather than doing what they are currently doing. That is another sign, even happening in the Asian country, not just in the West. And you notice the sign of confidence towards the technology is getting higher. In the past, Europeans are the one that is using a lot in terms of technology in e-banking, e-wallet, online purchases, all these e-hailing services. But Asians are still a bit more skeptical. Even until today, I have friends who don't have an e-banking, online banking account. To them, it's like, I cannot trust the so-called the online. There are a lot of cyber crime and all this. They just couldn't believe that technology is the way forward. But when you're an NCO, you basically have no choice. They are forced to do it. So I believe they are going to be a shift of more towards the technology in terms of the way they deal with the financial technology as well as the procurement. And surprisingly, this is something new to me. It's going to be a downward trend for business travel because they realize that not everything needs to travel and solve it up. You can actually use a video conference facility. Instead of just meet physically, you can just meet remotely by using video conferencing, which is what we are using currently. So that is going to be increasing. And those high flyer those who are rich, they will not go into first class or what we call the first class and business class traveling. They probably will only go into the personal jet. That is a trend that is going on. And there are more e-services going to be introduced by every government because currently, if you notice, there are still a few areas which government are refused to consider. For example, like immigration. For example, like legal, like courts. Now, I think Malaysia are also, if Satya is aware, I think they are also seriously looking into can they do the trial virtually rather than they have to physically meet up. I think this is something that most countries are doing. There are going to be a lot investment into healthcare. In the West, we all know that most of them spend a lot of money in weapons. So, but I think they are forced to look into the healthcare, no choice. And this is something that I personally witnessed. They say it's going to be more involvement by the NGO in policy makings because most countries, when this pandemic happened, especially if you notice like Malaysia, because we involved in the social enterprise, we kind of notice this. A lot of government officers fails or find no clue of how to reach out to those who are on the street, those who in the middle of somewhere. But the NGO knows how to do it because they've been dealing with them like on a daily basis. So government have no choice but to engage NGO to involve when they need this assistance. So I guess NGOs are getting more power. I would say they are more influential. So in most countries, NGO is now taking the lead in some human aids towards fighting this virus. And this is something good to us because less pollution. There is a study that shows that 1.2% drop in CO2 emission in 2020 and also reduced nitrogen dioxide in China and Italy in last 1 month. So that is something, a bonus. I think that most people say the universe is trying to do the cleansing. So they release the bacteria. I don't know. I don't want to get into that. And the education system also has been transformed. So I think all of us who have children who already witnessed over the last 1 month, all schools have shifted the teaching into so-called virtual, whether they do online classes or they do virtual discussion. All these things is actually a sign of moving the education system. But what they are trying to say here is it's not just the meeting virtually, but the way the syllabus is done also can be different. Because since you can now do homeschooling, meaning that it might not mean you must study the syllabus in your own country. They might be somebody who's sitting here in Malaysia but learning something that is in US. So it doesn't mean that I'm here study for SPM or PMR and I have to basically go through the process virtually. No, what they are trying to say here is it's going to be cross-border learning. That is what is going to be reshaped. And last but not least, this is something that I don't understand, but it's one of it. It's happening in the Middle East. I think in the Middle East, there are signs of more confidence to the local government. So I guess this is what the new orders that is affecting the whole world. But coming back to what is affecting us back in Malaysia and what are the new normals that basically worth us looking into, I think I've actually done an articles. For those who know that I actually have a website called CaptainAmerican.com. I actually prepared 5 articles. Ever since this thing happened, I wrote 5 articles. Probably it's not fast enough because my English is not that great. So that 5 articles basically talk about crisis management. And I kind of hope that you go through these 5 articles because it is actually very carefully arranged. Step 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. There are 5 steps and tips that basically you have to understand. First thing first, when we go into crisis, our our natural reaction is we go into panic mode. Okay, when you are in the panic mode, you usually do a lot of stupid decision. So what I suggested in step 1 is basically you go into an area where you build new relationship with the stakeholders around you. So I suggest you read article 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 in that sequence. Okay, where the step 1 is talking about how do you calm down and eventually deal with that crisis in a more logical manner. As a leader, we have to be a bit more careful in dealing with people around us. We can be very upset and angry, and we can just piss off anyone around us. But are you going to just shut it off, or are you going to continue your business? If you want to continue your business, you really have to carefully think of what is next. You're not preparing for now, you're preparing for future. So what I suggest in the article number 1 is look into the crisis carefully and redefine the relationship around you, talking about the employees, talking about how you deal with your customers, your bankers, and your suppliers. So that's article number 1. So article number 2 talks about what do you mean by your cash flow? Okay, how long can you sustain your business? You have to really go into it and understand your burn rate. Okay, you don't simply cut your cash supply, because some people I notice they will just go and pressure their customer and say, you have to pay me, if not I'm to take legal action. Okay, but then their supplier come and pressure them also doing the same. So there is a bit of haywire in cash flow management. So article 2, I want to emphasize more on how do you handle the cash flow by looking into the short term possible. Okay, how do you survive through this short term period before you talk about how do you recover. And article 3 is talking about cost rationalization. Most of us, when we go into panic mode, what we do, we start to cut costs. We retrench our employees, we do a pay cut, we force them to go into what you call redundancy exercise. But you have to seriously look into the pros and cons when you do that rationalization. And article 4 is what I am going to talk about today a little bit, where it is more of the new norm that is important to you. I have my own way of looking at the new norm, but I'm not sure whether you guys are thinking the same. I seriously hope you can also comment and tell us whether the new norm that I mentioned later on, are they something that is relevant, or are they something that I'm over thinking about it? So perhaps for those who are new, who are in this life, tell me and tell us what are the new norms that you have discovered that you think is relevant, and maybe I'll take some time to go and find out more so that I can update you guys later on. Okay, and of course the article number 5 is talking about when you know the new norm, how do you design your playground. So that 5 articles is what I wrote in the website. So I strongly suggest you go and take a look. And for today, I have handpicked a few new normals that I think is quite relevant, and I like what already been happening. So this is something that I want to share with you. Hopefully it is something relevant, and you may take this as part of your business. One of the things that also mentioned in the New World Order is about the health consciousness. I noticed a lot of people look at this as something like what happened in the Singapore movie. Yes, people from now on are getting more cautious, health cautious. They are more careful dealing with hygiene. They look into the use of sanitizer. They mop the floor quite often. They wash their hands very often. But that is what affecting you as a person. As a habit, it affects you. But how is it affect your business? Before the MCO, I noticed one company who did it very, very well. I cannot name the company name, but you all know this company is quite big. So what happened is, before the MCO, most retailers or pharmaceuticals company, they import a lot of gloves and masks and sanitizer. So of course, they have to sell it more expensive because of the shortage in supply. So everywhere you go, you are either seeing the pharmacy put a label there, face mask habis, or some even put there, no more sanitizer. So shortage is everywhere. But this retailer is very smart. What he did was, he import quite a big container of this glove, but he's not selling it. So he put it in the store and said, for all customers who walk into our store, we care about your safety, your health, and also our employees. So we advise you to take one and wear when you shop in our store. So we all understand the mask is not an expensive item, but by convert that idea into a purpose, Okay, that simple product convert into the purpose that tell the customer that we care about you. We are not here to sell it expensive to you. We give you for free. But when you shop inside our store, make sure you wear it. So I have seen some shoppers who basically go one round and come back and wait for like half an hour and go back again. Okay, those are some tricky fella lah. But what I'm trying to say here is they created a picture that yes, I'm a retailer, but at the same time I care about my consumer, I care about my customer that shop in my stores. I think as a business we have to think a little bit deep. Like this retailer is actually very smart. To me, it's not about taking short-term profit by selling something with better margin. So if you are in a business environment where you have a chance to deal with health and you want your customers to be more health conscious, I suggest you think about how do you translate that into a message to your customer rather than force them to do something that you want them to do. So this is a new norm that I see as a trend, and I think it's already shaping a lot of F&B industry. So if you are in...
I also want to point out, because at this time now, when businesses try to pivot their main business, I see a lot of them are jumping into selling masks, sanitizer, yes, which is something that they are not doing. So I would suggest that rather than doing that as a short-term solution, why not think of something more creative that is related to your business, but it's something out of the norm, but it's still related to your business. Something like, for example, piano lessons. Used to be in the US, it's a norm that they teach piano lessons online. But in Malaysia, we are always slower. So if we can adopt this kind of concept from the overseas, which is already a norm in their country, I would think out of the box, go and do a survey on what overseas are doing with your industry and see if you can apply it online for your business. I would think that would be a better way rather than you change shift and focus into a new uncharted business which is not related to you. Like for example, masks. How long is it going to sustain you? Right? So like what Jasmine says, something can sustain long term. Yeah, like okay, like for Jasmine, you know, like the event industry outside, I mean in overseas, they are now already adopting virtual conference, virtual events that they can pivot, I mean like break out into a private room where sponsors can actually promote their businesses. So I think for now, for us now in Malaysia, do not just stick to, you know, your comfort zone. Go and do research, something what overseas are doing, and see if you can apply it to your business online. So like for Jasmine, I can suggest that you look into platforms like Hopin. That is really something that it's really new, very fresh, and something that is already been, the US are already doing that. So why not you take the time to see whether you can apply and adopt that concept into Malaysia, because somehow Malaysia is always slower. But if in the US it's already successful, sooner or later, Malaysia will adopt this. So instead of others, your competitors doing this, why not you be the first to do that? Which is why I think something that is related to your business. Don't pivot too much away from your business, but yes, something that you can is related to yours. But how can you digitalize it and monetize that for your business so that in the long term you will see success and you will be regarded as the industry leader in Malaysia. Okay, like okay, let's see. Run the world also one of the platform in China. Yes, anything, you just go and do a research on what overseas are doing. in terms of your related to your business. So that's what I'm trying to say. Do not pivot too much to some industry which you think is doing very well. But what about once MCO is lifted, then the mask is no longer going to be in demand anymore. And what's going to happen? You are, you have this so much inventory in your home.
Yeah.
So
what you mentioned here is quite true lah. Soon when the things get better, when the supply back to order,
yes,
it's going to be hit. It's just like those who just go in and wall up the inventory. Now most of them suffered who have big inventory with us, I guess.
Yes. So just not because every how would I say it, every Tom, Dick, and Harry is selling sanitizer and mask, it doesn't mean that you should do that as well. It could be you are a way too late into that game already. So rather than being too late in the game, now go and think and brainstorm for your own business. How can you, once MCO is lifted, how can you be seen as the industry leader who is very creative, who came up with a new idea? I'm sure your clients will look up to you and see that, wow, you survived MCO, you came up with new ideas. They will regard you as the industry leader, that's for sure. Okay?
I think if you go out, because I go tapao quite often, I notice a lot of F&B also put hand sanitizer, but some are selling it. So if you are in that kind of industry, perhaps it is not going to make you a lot of money. Like what Shani say, don't look into the short-term opportunity that you want to cash out something from your customers. They come to you because they also seriously need something. So make it something that is more like a good offering rather than it is a product that you are selling. There are just too many of them doing this, and people are comparing. When they notice you're selling something expensive on this kind of product, they don't like you. So when things are back to normal, you are not their preferred suppliers anymore. Yeah, that's something that you really have to consider.
Yeah, like what Kiam Fee said, opportunists like the mask sellers will corner very soon because like in Hong Kong, prices on those items drop as soon as it recovers. Yes, can you imagine, like let's say now you jump into the bandwagon and sell masks now. What if MCO really lifted in 2 weeks' time? You will really corner. And you will see that you have no choice but to sell it at really, really cheap price just to get rid of the stocks. Yeah, even like industries like what you mentioned, Gan, just now, like lawyers, really now they have to look into lawyers, auditors, tax agents, really, they have to look into digital agreements already because we can no longer have like, not so much more onto like face-to-face signing documents anymore. In fact, nowadays, property developers are also looking into digital signing for SPAs. So we must adapt to changes and we cannot always stick to, our comfort zone and stick to the old ways and traditional way. It is sooner or later it's not going to work, and it's better to digitalize your entire business process and be resilient. Yeah. Let's see, any question for us? Or let's see first before we move on to.
I saw a question from Jeff Ong Gilfila. I know him. Jeff talking about
Jeff?
Earlier he says that it is okay, cash collection should be okay if for the first 2 months. But if situation continued third or fourth month, the panic mode for most company will on. I want to take this question because as an chartered accountant, I understand the way how money goes. You see, today you can feel the situation a little bit not so worrying. I wouldn't say it's not worrying. A little bit not so pressure is because there is the interference from the authority where they have this moratorium where the banks are not pressuring you for the loan installment. You see, most of the businesses or even personal, one of their biggest overhead currently is actually the bank loan, whether it's hire purchase or it's the installment. So if this is going to be stopped for the next 6 months, it is actually quite a very useful assistance to a lot of people. So like what Jeff mentioned, what if this thing continue for another 3-4 months? I would say it will still, yes, it will affect a lot of businesses, but the money goes like this. The collection from A to B is actually a payment from B to C. And the C collect the money actually to pay D. And it will go all the way back to A. So it's actually in the system. It's in the economic system. If there is one party who say, I'm not going to pressure you, then and make sure the next person are not going to pressure the next person, actually this situation can somehow be cushioned a little. I wouldn't say it will be completely stopped. It will help a lot. For example, if the bank decided that, okay, we're going to sacrifice our bank's profit for the year to make sure we don't pressure our borrowers so that they don't go bankrupt, and so that these businesses can continue to hire the employee, and this employee have no pressure to pay the loan installment, this situation come back, it will be okay, but it cannot be for long. So to answer Jeff, if this situation go on for another 3-4 months, we need something more drastic from the government. I must say that the bank actually is quite a good help in the current situation. If without this moratorium from the bank, I would say more company will close out even before end of this month. Yeah, that is the questions from Jeff.
Another question, Eden Tan, will consumer behavior change? I think consumer behavior has already changed.
Yes.
Has already changed. Now, there were last time before MCO, property buyers, they will want to go to show gallery to look at properties. But now with MCO, developers has now pivoted into doing virtual tours for property. And now property buyers are viewing properties from their home, looking at virtual tours to buy properties. And they are okay. By looking at the virtual tours, agents are also closing deals. So I would say that consumer behavior has changed. What's your view, Gan?
I think that the change is already happened, like what you say.
Yeah.
It's just the number is not significant to the level where businesses are changing the way they deal with it. It's just like e-commerce has been so popular everywhere. But in Malaysia, somehow, I read a study, the highest business that people, the business that actually receive most of the e-commerce inquiries are basically the airlines. So basically meaning other mode of buying are actually not promoted in a way. If you notice, like Tesco and all these grocer, they already have their online portal for quite some time. But the sales from these online channels are very, very insignificant. But today they recorded like 10-fold, 15-folds because people find it no choice. But then what happened is, I have no choice. I started it. But after I started, I find it's actually not so bad. And it's quite convenient. And because of my experience in e-wallet, my experience in online banking, I find everything now tied together. I just need a mobile. I can get things done so easily. The earlier skeptical and about security and the non-familiarity with technology become no longer an issue. I think the habit is already changing. It's just that this MCO has forced it to change faster. Yeah, whether the thing that I want to mention here is the new norm is already formed, but we know what is happening. But the application of our strategy got to be very different from one company to another company. I've been hearing a lot of people, like for example, I need to have an e-commerce, set out a website, start selling. I don't think that will work. Someone who is in a training industry, everybody go into webinar now. Let's do one. But they don't know how to reach out to people. They are not doing well. So what I say here is there are so many people talk about the new norm and they understand what has been changed. But again, the application to your business is what lacking to it. You've got to understand your business, your customer that you want, the customer that you're currently servicing, and the channel that you're reaching out to them. If you can't connect all these things together, whatever changes you make to your business are not going to make any significant impact to you.
Yes, I also agree because I also tell my students all the time, doesn't mean everyone is on Facebook selling something and advertising on Facebook. It doesn't mean that you should also do that. We have to do research first. That's very important before we decide whether we want to place ads on Facebook. And there's actually a lot of avenues where you can place your ads on. It doesn't mean that everyone is on Facebook. You have to be on Facebook as well. Firstly, we need to identify where are your customers or your audience are hanging out. If they're not hanging out in Facebook, they're hanging out in, for example, LinkedIn, then you have to pay attention to LinkedIn. It doesn't mean that you have to run ads on Facebook. It's not how it works. Okay, so firstly, we need to identify where our audience are hanging out, and from there we decipher and we come up with a new strategy plan for your business, so that in times like this, how can you thrive? In pandemic mode like this, how can you thrive and still be able to deliver your services and your products to your clients? It can be pre-order now and then you sell later, but the key thing is be able to bring out value to your customers, so that once MCO is lifted, your business can then move on at a very fast speed, rather than after MCO is lifted, then you start all over again. That is really very slow already. Okay.
I like Jeff. Jeff gave me a lot of tough questions today.
Jeff,
what do you think for the next business or product after this month or after the pandemic? If we were to opportunities to sell masks, we shall do it like January or earlier. So I have this thing that always in thought lah. If you want to do something, for example, if you want to think of what is best for your business after the MCO, you probably can refer what is happening to China now, because they have gone through the process already over the last 2-3 months, and what evolved in their business ecosystem now is exactly what are going to be mimicked into many countries. Of course, not 100% of it relevant, but it's good to take a look and find out what those changes are you able to pick and modify and suits your current business. I think it's instead of invent something new that you have no idea how to do it and try and error and spend money, why not just look at what the Chinese is doing, and if they are doing it well, why not just use that idea and copy and make it as part of your business. So instead of decide what to buy and what to sell, you just go out and just, now it's even easier because you can virtually do shopping. Go and find out what is happening in China. It's actually good for you to explore ideas from them now.
You are breaking off. Let me see. Okay, Ben asks, how soon do you think the economy will recover back to normal?
Okay, first you have to define normal. I think I'm probably very optimistic in the way I do things, but I cannot speak on behalf of others. But I think when you say normal, it is more of sentiment rather than the actual economic data. I think the sentiment will continue for at least for the next 6 months, because there are still time bombs everywhere. Okay, some companies are trying very hard, but they might not be able to hold even for the next 3 months. So I believe if you ask me if it's economic, I will probably write off 2020 already. So forget about doing anything great in 2020. Just look into the surviving mode, and if you are able to do better, that is a bonus. Because the more positive expectation you put it in, I worry you're going to dump in more resources and the result might not be there. I'm not saying that you shouldn't invest or shouldn't be positive. You have to be positive and invest with strategy. The application of a strategy is actually the key, but I doubt most of the businesses today have that strategy, because they are still in panic mode, and they are just trying to create rescue plan rather than a long-term plan. Because I talked to quite many of them. I told them that, you're going to look into longer term. They say, no, if I can't even survive the next 3 months, why bother about 1 year? So I can understand the feeling, but if you're going to think like that every time, I'm sure, yes, you might recover in 3 months, but you can't go very far. Because at the end of the day, it's talking about a strategy. Don't look at 3 months as a strategy. That is not a strategy. So to answer Ben, I think I probably look at 6 months. Yeah.
6 months. Do you think industry like travel, those will need longer time?
Because I think it is not just Malaysia alone. Even let's say we are all free from the virus, but the supply chain is affecting us. The production from China is affecting us. The customer from the West is also affecting us. if there is no buyer, even though you have full capacity in production, you're not going to make it. And you are not the only supplier in this part of the world. You're going to compete with so many others who are also slowly recover. So I would say it is something that we cannot control. But the domestic consumption is going to be the key recovery factor from the economic standpoint, meaning we have no choice but to look into the government spending to be the key driver of the recovery.
Okay. Do you have any more points? Let's see. Any more questions for both of us? I think the new norm now is work from home, remote control your workers from home. It's more about remote work culture now. How you structure your core values with your staff, and at the same time being able to oversee their progress and status from your home, right? China being productive production. Okay, Ben Ho says if SME had freeze hiring in 2020, what are the actions they will take in Q1 and Q2 2021?
I have seen this thing also written somewhere in one of the articles I read. It happened already in the West. Yes, there are a lot of redundancy exercise, but what happened is, yes, they're recorded as unemployment, but then most of them actually go back to the business world, be a solopreneur, a freelancer, or what they call the gig economy, instead of crying for the employment. So I guess Malaysia probably is one trend that those who find difficulty to go back to employment can even consider working on their own, because now you have a good time where you don't really need an office to serve your customer. You can do things remotely, virtually. You have all the facility. You just need a website, whether it's consulting, whether it's teaching, whether it's trading. It make the infrastructure has been so matured that you can actually consider not employed by others, and you do up your business on your remotely, even from home. You just need a laptop, you need a printer, and you make a good Wi-Fi infra, then you can actually start your business. Just register a sole proprietor. I think there are trends that people are moving that direction. Like what you said just now, Chinese people are going into selling. Those who are smart, they actually have started this. They make their first maybe 100,000. So they probably see this as a good start, and they probably will drop their employment and just go into trading business. They will source something that people need and then sell. I think this is going to be one trend that is moving towards those employees who are not hired or who are retrenched.
Let's see, one more. Kiam Fia, China being a production house or seller just recover. Whole world buyer USA is still stuck back. Recession is real indeed. Yes, recession is real. And we're going to go into a stage where we're going to go into deleveraging. So it's either we now not pivot your entire business model, but make sure that you digitalize it, change your business funnel, how it works, the strategy, the whole platform all together, like what Gan said. So that we will survive in this recession and deleveraging phase. Any questions?
That question is very, 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 very amazing. I also find it something that I want to know. Suyi says that influencer marketing for social media saw about 200 million to 500 million sales in China, almost exceed 11/11 sales. Is Malaysia going towards that trend?
Yes, picking up. We do see we do have famous influencers in Malaysia. Influencer marketing works for businesses. So, but it involves like everyday posting contents on the social media. So if the person is really on an everyday basis posting, then yes, influencer marketing works. And it depends on how active the influencer is marketing, you see. So let's say if they want to have more sales, then it involves like everyday promoting. But if in the influencer is once a week, once a month only post, then it cannot be considered a success. Yeah.
But I also noticed, Janice, the way the influencer in China and Malaysia are very different. Malaysia are very much like share posts and hope that their follower will engage and buy. But I noticed in China, I saw the way they sell is very aggressive. They have like a big team behind them, with the camera crew, with the script writer, with the
They have like 10 screens, 10 laptops everywhere. So it's a different ball game. But not to say that we can't achieve that. Of course, the influencer can, but we can do step by step, right? We can. So influencer marketing is one of the new norms, one of the 5 digital new norms from my side. So be freelancer, the influencer marketer. That's one of the ways to one of the new norms for work from home. Ben,
Yeah.
do you see e-learning is an upcoming trend for employees? Yes, of course. Of course. We are seeing like people are more receptive to e-learning now. Not just for employees, even parents now, they are receptive to their kids learning e-learning from their school that the schools are giving out. So even for employees now, we now see employers asking, oh, is there any e-learning available for my staff that they can attend? So slowly now they are receptive to this idea. Yeah.
I guess in the past, most of them will feel the interaction. You need the face-to-face. There are some who still prefer the offline learning, but the trend of going into e-learning is getting more. Moreover, now you can also learn from people not in your own area. You can learn from people from the US, from Europe, from Japan, from China. So I think it cut down the distance of traveling when you want to learn from some masters. Yeah, I think that is also very important.
Okay, Marcus say, do you have programs to help entrepreneurs go online and leverage on this new trend if influencer marketing is not the way to go? No. I'm not saying influencer marketing is not the way to go. I say influencer marketing is the way to go. It's one the way to go. I did not say it's not the way to go, Marcus. Influencer marketing is one of the way to go. Yeah. Now, more so, businessmen should be more towards influencer marketing. So, yeah, good question. We do have a program that we have planned out, me and Gun, to help entrepreneurs to digitize their programs online. I mean, their business and services online. And I'm going to share with you all in a couple of minutes. But before I go into that, Gun, you have anything else to share?
I think the only thing that I have to keep on emphasizing is we see a lot of strategy around, but don't copy. Don't just copy. Look into the application to your business. Check whether it is relevant or is applicable before you mimic that strategy into your business. I have seen many who basically just read a book and found the good strategy and they start applying it. So, and that is a bit dangerous. It's just like taking a medicine, read the prescription, and just take on your own. Doctor always said consult a doctor before you take the medicine. So likewise, solution and strategy in business. Don't just copy. Find out whether the strategy is relevant and the solution is workable for you. The application is far more important than the theory.
Yeah.
That's what I want to emphasize.
I think that's also one of the things also that I want to bring up. Like, there's just so many free talks out there. Coaches, trainers, all giving free talks. But the thing is, after that, once it ends, what does it happen? How do you do that? How do you apply the knowledge that you learn from all these free talks into your own business? Learning and applying is a different whole thing. So application is important. Learning all these skills but not applying is equivalent to not doing anything, right? So, all right. So I just want to share with you something that me and Gun has come up with. Let me just show you the slides. Okay. Hello, can you guys? You guys speaking? There's no sound loss. Wait, okay. Everything okay?
Can you hear us? Hello,
Can't
can you hear
hear
us?
anything. Okay? Can hear? Can you hear me, Jan?
I can hear you, but others, can you hear us?
The slides? Yeah. Okay, so let me get on to, okay, now can. All right, now just want to share with you, me and Gan, we have come up with a program, and we would like to make an offer for you all. Okay, let me ask you a question. Would you like our help in implementing what we have just taught you in the past 1 hour? KJ, yes. Can Jasmine, yes. Okay. Now, we have designed a 25 hours challenge program to help you implement and stay resilient. And we have break it down to 6 sessions. And each session will have, we're going to give you homework. Yeah, we're going to give you homework. And I'm going to share with you in a bit the page for you to visit. Now, if all this was to help you start implementing the new norm and also not be left behind, do you think it's going to be worth it? Elsa, yes, okay. Yeah, money is actually a tool for exchange, and you spend money to get something greater in return, okay? Shifting your disposable income from liabilities to assets and spend it on something that you know can bring you long-term fulfillment for your business. And of course, each month the money will come back, but time does not, okay? Now, if we leave you now, you actually go back to your old habits, okay? Yeah, Yanni say definitely. Yes, we know. If we leave this meeting and this FB Live now, you will definitely slip back to your old habits. And if you want change, you need repeated exposures, and you need us to be there to hold you accountable. And you cannot just rely on information alone, because there's just too many noise out there. Okay, what you need is definitely coaching and accountability. And either you're good at making the business work, or you're good at making excuses, but you can't just do both. Okay, we can actually make this program free and get as many people to come in as possible, but we're not going to do that. We're going to charge for this program so that we can devote time and resources to you, a small group of you. Okay, so you have 2 choices. First is apply what we have taught you for the past 1 hour, and get ideas outside and implement it straight away. And second option is to make a small investment and give it a shot. Okay, so it now depends on you. So are you the brave buyer or are you the procrastinator?